Coach.
Hey, how you doing?
When you look back at kind of your career path, both overseas, then G League, and that path to get you here, what's kind of your perspective on what's led you to this moment being coach of the All-Star team?
I mean, just incredibly fortunate. Right place, the right time. A lot of the places along my journey. You know, I'd be lying to you if I ever thought that I was going to be here. Even in the NBA, you know, I just wanted to coach basketball, and at some points I thought maybe a small college would be where I was going to be, but was fortunate enough to get to work in some great organizations and opportunities that led to bigger and better things. And so it's been crazy when I think about it. You know, it's only been probably like 12, 15 years since I've been in Europe, but it feels like a lifetime ago, really.
Strides or improvements have you seen Carl kind of take since he took over?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you think about all the continual like adjusting of his game due to different roster moves that have been made, the emergence of Anthony, and how he just seamlessly keeps changing. You know, so much skill, super smart, very willing teammate. You know, he was the first guy to kind of welcome the Rudy concept and make it work before he got hurt. You know, they had a really good early chemistry, and then I just had to kind of get comfortable playing in a slightly different rhythm, more kind of off the ball rather than always playing through him. And now he's kind of seamlessly found that balance. And then at the other end of the floor, defensively, just continues to get better and better, and it's really been the key to a lot of things that we're trying to do defensively, because every night it's a different kind of puzzle we have to solve with it.
Yeah, I know. Everyone always says we expect to be successful every year, but
Yeah.
did you guys anticipate going from 8th to 1st this year?
Well, I think no. I mean, to be honest, we didn't kind of quantify it that way. When you do look at the conference standings in the West on any given year, this year is the same as last year. You know, there's not a huge gap between the top and the play-in tournament. We felt that we could easily be a top 6 team coming into this season. We felt we would be better just if we stayed healthy, given what we had learned last year about the Rudy acquisition and all that we learned with having him on board. Ant's emergence, Jaden, Nas, we felt these guys would continue to take a step back forward. Getting Cat back was huge. So yeah, we couldn't have predicted this, but yeah. So it's going to be still a tight race, though, when you think about it, and it's always been that way since I've been in the league. So.
Hi, Coach. What are you most excited for ahead of tonight?
Most excited?
Ahead of tonight, Saturday night.
Honestly, I think the most excited for me for the whole weekend was practice, just being in that locker room and watching these guys come in one by one. And you know, some of them I know, and some of them I've been lucky enough to coach, and some of them I've never really officially met. You know, with a handshake and an introduction. Told the guys how honored I was to be here. It was a privilege, and there's not many times like at this point in your life you feel like a kid again. But standing in a room with all that star power is pretty inspiring.
And we can say that the defense of your team tomorrow is not going to be as good as the Timberwolves this season. How difficult is it, for your defensive coach suddenly,
Yeah, I mean, I would expect, the competitive nature of these guys to grow throughout the game. I like the fact that they've gone back to an East-West format, and that's should drive a little bit competition. This is a game where they're going to show off their incredible skill and have fun doing it.
You mentioned Carl's defense. What's the process of him being, guarding some wings next to Rudy and playing all that? What's that been like? Tell me more about throughout the preseason to the season.
Yeah, I think it starts with just being comfortable playing outside of pick and roll. Like most of his defense has been at the 5, heavy pick and roll. So now he's got to play off the ball, containing the ball. At any given night in the league, the 4 position is probably the most has the most variety of types of players who play. guys who can really drive it, guys who can really shoot it, still some rugged guys there. So, and then just rotations and playing in actions and fighting through screens and all that kind of stuff. You know, and in the beginning of the season, there was still a little bit of a lag time when these things were happening, but now he anticipates that stuff even better. So, you know, continued credit to him for this.
Big question. Was buy-in, attention to detail, or just we kind of attribute the Bucks defensive?
I think it's certainly buy into what we knew our strengths were going to be as a team. Like when we talked on day one, what we could be really good at, we knew we had the makings to be a really, really good defensive team. Not just with Rudy, but also at the point of attack. We have Ant, we have Jaden. We really saw what Nikhil could do last year coming down the stretch, particularly in the play-in game versus Oklahoma City. And in the playoffs, you know, the way he battled with Jamal Murray. And we just felt we had a multitude of guys who could be really good on the ball and on the perimeter, and then with Rudy on the back line. So there was no reason we shouldn't be a great defensive team, and the guys picked up on that right away.
Chris, does it mean more to you that you have 2 players chosen to the All-Star game by the coaches compared to the fan vote?
Great question. I think it should mean more to them for sure. You know, I'm not sure what it means to our organization is we're extremely proud of, you know, their efforts and what it represents for our team's success. But yeah, I think it's a great honor when the coaches are actually tabbing these guys because they recognize what they're doing, taking nothing away from the fan vote because all those guys are certainly worthy. But it is, I think, a special recognition when the coaches are picking.
Thank you.
Chris, how you doing? We're from Argentina.
Yeah.
Close friends from Pablo Prigioni.
Nice.
So I'd like a few words about what's good for you to have Pablo
Yeah.
on the roster.
Well, I mean, his energy, such infectious positivity. That's one. 2, extremely smart and experienced as a player. It's always great to have people who have played in the NBA on your staff because they can relate to the players. And I love the way he messages with our players. Like it's very, very direct, but very non-threatening, and our guys really respond to him well.
Yeah, and you have as a player too, right?
Pardon?
You share with him as a player too.
Yeah, I was able to coach him as a player in Houston, and we had a good run together there. So
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Coach, the offensive explosion in the NBA over the last few years
Yeah.
has just been skyrocketing. I'm wondering, just in general, do you feel it's gone too far? And if so, is there any sort of rule change you'd have to maybe combat that?
I don't think it's gone too far. I think it's a result of the incredible amount of skill that we have in the game right now. So I wouldn't say it's gone too far. What I would say is that I think, and I know the league is considering these things, I don't think there's needs to be a rule change. I do think we can put some more emphasis on, you know, how we allow teams to defend that are within the rule structure right now. So I wouldn't want the league to do anything radical, but I do
Sort of like an interpretation?
Yeah, like just maybe give some leeway back to the defense, a little bit of freedom back to the defense. You know, these guys are so skilled and they create so much separation with that skill and that speed. We have to find ways to kind of maybe close that gap, yeah. So.
Coach,
Hey, how you doing?
how's it going?
Good.
Kind of building on that, 10-point leads and 20-point leads just are not what they used to
Yeah.
be. Are
Tell me about
disappearing. What do you think goes into just how, I mean, even a 25-point lead isn't really safe
Yeah.
most of the game anymore. What's changed in the last 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I think, well, certainly the three-point shot in the pace. I mean, that's what it comes down to. More possessions, and then the volatility of three-point shooting. And the volume is up, you know, and I think it's also, you see a lot of kind of unpredictable results regardless of the point differential and the margin of the score. Like, you're like, wow, how'd that team beat that team? You know, and then you look at the column and they put in 22 threes. You know, they've made 22 threes. Like, there was a time where you weren't taking 20 threes in a game. So it's all down to that. Momentum, you know, most of these guys have, you know, got to the league through being an offensive player or offensive-minded player. And when those guys get hot in the league, it's a sight, and it's really hard to stop. So momentum is really hard to to curb the tide. So, but mostly it's pace and 3-point shots.
You talk about possessions and pace.
Pardon?
You talk about possessions and pace and evolution of offense. I was wondering, especially with the defensive background that you have, what are you seeing from skills or schemes that you feel like can combat that, make it a more balanced game?
Defensively?
Yeah, defensively.
I mean, you have to be right now. You have to be elite at the point of attack. You have to have defenders that can contain the ball. You know, it's almost impossible with the skill and the way the game is played and the spacing that people can create with 5 guys on the perimeter now. You have to be elite at the point of attack, or you have to have great length, and that's one thing that we're benefiting from. We're an extremely long, tall team, so it allows us to cover a lot of ground and contest shots. And that's the other thing is I think defense comes down to your ability to contest shots. Like no matter how you decide to play pick and roll or any scheme you might choose, at some point they're going to get a shot, and you got to bother it as much as you possibly can.
Coach, when you look at the roster, the listed names that you're coaching, I mean, how fun is that as a coach to be coaching such a stacked group?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, man. When you look, it's all first ballot Hall of Famers, no doubt. When I would look at the rosters in the last few days, I didn't really look too much because before we were able to get clinch coaching here, I just was like, wow, that guy, and then oh wow, that guy too, oh wow, it just goes on, and you see these guys every night, and you compete against them, and they give you such headaches. It's actually it's pleasant to be here and enjoy this experience with them. So.